During his reign, Shah Jahan has built more than 30 architectures. He was the greatest representative of Mughal architecture, with his best-known work Tac Mahal. His architectures included tombs, palaces, mausoleums, gardens, and plant cities, which are still extraordinary even by today's standards. Some of his famous works are Tac Mahal, Jahangir's Mausoleum, Shah Jahan, which was founded as walled city and it is known as Old Delhi, Shalimar Gardens, Agra Fort Mosque, Ahmedabad Fort, city walls and canals. In those architectures, Indian, Ottoman and Persian architecture's effects can be seen. But how did they find the money to build those expensive buildings? Their biggest resource of income was the total salary bill of the Mansabdars. The Mansabdar was a military unit in the administrative system of the Mughal Empire. They were introduced by Akbar. The construction of the new capital at Delhi has started in 1638 as Shah Jahan's one of the most important projects. It took almost 10 years to finish and it cost 60 lakh rupees. It included places like Shah Mahal, Imtiaz Mahal, a hammam, the fort and palaces for Jahanara and other royal ladies. The money spent was only for the fort and building inside without the cost of decorations. 9 lakh rupees were spent on the golden ceiling done in European and Ottoman styles, and hammam only cost 6 lakh rupees. Besides those, Shah Jahan granted money to the princes for building their house in the new capital. In 1658, Shah Jahan built a summer palace at Mukhlispur, which cost him 6 lakhs. Expenditures of his architectures changed from year to year. The lowest costs were during 1949 and 1950, but it increased by time. The prices were much higher than the money spent during Akbar's reign. One of the reasons of the high costs is that Shah Jahan used marble rather than the red sandstone like Akbar did. And the reason is that Shah Jahan focused on decoration more than Akbar, when Akbar focused on structural design of the buildings. Also, Shah Jahan used Persian-style inlay work with gold and semi-precious stones in his buildings, which were expensive. The wages of those who worked in the constructions of the architectures were high as well. For example, when an ordinary workman was paid 3 rupees amount, was paid 100 times more during Shah Jahan's reign.
Taj Mahal, the magnificent building that I, Shah Jahan, made my country to build, so that I can present it to my wife, Mumtaz Mahal. This magnificent masterpiece of mine will show how much I love her, and show my country my divine intentions, and showing that I, Shah Jahan, acknowledge my ancestor Timur. My Taj Mahal must consider the Islamic motifs. The figures would be used more as Iranian flowers rather than animals that we usually use. The garden would be a symbol of heaven that shows its beauty to all who visit. These would be only a part of the love that I can show to my beloved wife. The lighting that is being used in Taj Mahal will show my power that my intentions are pure and divine. I protect and adopt my ancestor Timur. My country would see me as a chosen that is to lead them. And of course, the portrait of mine that light shines bright on them would make an astonishing effect also. This magnificent building that we created will be a symbol of mine and the power and the knowledge that I collected while I was on my expeditions. Some say, how did the expeditions of me, Shah Jahan, was able to help the build of Taj Mahal? Well, to be clear, some of the details such as Mughal art and motifs were always in mind because of our history. But as I was in my expeditions, me and many architectures that I brought with me is the reason was to absorb the world's knowledge in many places that I visit. There are 8 principles that we decided on the architecture while doing the Taj Mahal. First, was the hierarchy, the proportional size that affects around it, uniformity of the shapes that is in order to the hierarchy, sensual attention to detail, selective use of naturalism, and of course the symbolism that all, as I said before, it will be a divine symbolism of my love to my wife and the power that I have and the knowledge that I gathered.
We use mirrors because it was a more Islamic symbol, and we want to use it for Tac Mahal and Mumtaz Mahal's tomb. Yeah, some people say that it is an Ottoman vibe, but it's not that true in fact, because we had already used them for 4 mirrors combined in the Sultan Jahangir's tomb. And also Shah Jahan insists on his Timur's ancestry, Samarkand effect, and of course there's some Ottoman effect in the minor. I also suggested to use the Bengala type of roofs for the Tac Mahal, but we in fact use the Bengala types in many much places, in Agra Fort entries for instance, in Lahore, in Nakhla Pavilion. It was very successful usage, and we in fact saw them the Bengal type of roofs in the Bengal. Of course, when we went to the campaign there, we saw the Bengal architecture there, and we are affected from them. And I also tried to use it for Tac Mahal, but Shah Jahan rejected that because he thought it should be, the Tac Mahal should have more Islamic traditional way of the architecture, so we didn't use Bengal roofs. For the support of finance, well, for other buildings, in fact the council of the Shah Jahan is very willing to help and financially support us. There was one Persian noble who entered the council by his architectural knowledge, and also Mumtaz Mahal's daughter Chanarai Begum and his son Dana Shukum. They also very talented architects, and they are also building and supporting architectural monuments too much. And for the last thing, Tac Mahal's baghs, we call them bagh, but you can say in garden. Well, Tac Mahal we use, as I said, very Islamic symbol of, and the gardens are part of that symbolism. It is symbol of the paradise, and in our previous works, future works, we use gardens a lot with the pools, and by the usage of water and the mixture of the flowers, we could have the reflect of the Quran way of telling the paradise. Before the Shah Jahan, we didn't use it too much, the Quran verses in our buildings, but we used lots of Quran verses who talk about the afterlife, and we write them onto the white marble. And that is all I can say as an architect. And let me say one thing. When Mumtaz Mahal died in 1642, we were rushed. We were rushed. Shah Jahan is prior to Tac Mahal building, so he gave all support. So we were rushed, and I checked some web research, but there's nothing in the web. So I went for the books. Here you can see, my books. Yeah, that's all I can say.